What is soul food? Soul food, I watched a documentary the other day and I thought it was really well put. And the chef, who happens to also be a food historian, the way that he said it, he said that as Black Americans, we're the only people that have attached like a spiritual notion to the food that we eat.
Hi, I'm Patti LaBelle, and today I'm making my sweet potato pie. Everybody loves a Patti pie, and I'm here to show you how to do the thing.
Patti LaBelle has teamed up with Walmart. I guess this teaming, though, happened about a year ago.
Sweet potato Patti LaBelle. This is the Patti edition, honey. This is the On My Own.
Is that not incredible? Oh, no! Are you kidding me?
I got
Did
a
you
new
do
attitude.
this?
No, I swan. Ain't nobody.
It's you. It's Patti LaBelle. I didn't believe it for a second. Oh my gosh.
Okay, we have to.
Hold on.
Oh, my.
Hey.
You guys.
Okay, so I'm here, and I bought the pie.
Look at what.
I'm shocked.
I made this pie for you, Willie.
Oh my God. May I try the Patti pie?
Okay, go ahead, Willie.
This is the same pie that you can get at Walmart.
I just have to tell you, we got to thank Walmart for bringing these pies to us because they're sold out.
Yeah,
You just
they're
cannot
sold
get
out
them
everywhere.
anywhere.
You can't
Yes.
get them.
You cannot get them.
Oh, take
So-
a bite.
And you're a
Take your
spokesperson
pie.
for
Let's
Walmart, and I'm
take a
getting
bite.
right in here.
Okay, get in
Okay.
there. Get in there, Willie.
Oh my
Willie.
goodness.
Get in there.
On my own. Once again now.
People see the reservation as a food desert, which is true in a way. But being a chef, learning about indigenous food, there's food all around us. We just have to reconnect with the landscape and know what food is, instead of calling everything weeds.
I figured in lieu of the time of year that we would do kind of like a Geechee style red rice, red beans and rice, which also kind of goes along with everything we're talking about because it is really very much like a jollof, or so many cultures have different terms for it, or like arroz con pollo, like it's basically a rice with like all the good things in it, right?
This morning on The Dish, Arizona-born indigenous chef Brian Yazzie. He comes from the Navajo Nation, where he learned ancient food traditions from his family. Now he's brought them to Minnesota, using local ingredients to create modern dishes while caring for his community in a particular time of need. Jamie Yukas has his story.
This is dehydrated prairie sage.
The ingredients, techniques, and presentation are all rooted in tradition.
You almost made like a squash dip.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Did your mom make indigenous food?
Growing up, I remember my mom stepping out the back door, getting some lamb's quarters, known as wild spinach. She would put that into the potato soup or mutton stew. Just a little taste of the landscape. That was my introduction to native food.
What's up, guys? In today's recipe, Ray and I are going to show you how to make ginisang munggo. Ginisang munggo is a Filipino dish that's made up of mung beans, pork, shrimp, and some chicharron.
The wild turkey is a true American original. It's a bird that's native only to North America and Central America. They were first discovered by Europeans in Mexico in the early 1500s. The ancestor of the bird that will be the guest of honor at millions of tables this Thanksgiving was feeding people in Spain by 1520. In 1607, the domesticated birds arrived back here in the United States and were raised to feed the colonists.
Like the chicken's going. I've got a jerk chicken going. I figured I'd start it because we need a full meal if we're gonna do this. And I've got some plantains we're roasting, so. This is a smoked habanero orange salt. Less traditional, but delicious. Growing up in New York and just being around like so many different options and just all the different kinds of food and things like that. My mom was a chef, and so I grew up like just kind of in the whole like lifestyle of, cooking for others and that kind of thing. And I fell in love with, I guess, not just the food, but I think also it is really the lifestyle of it. I love the history of it. I always say to tell me what you eat and I can tell you who you are.
In the 1850s, 1860s, with my tribe, the Navajo, we were put into internment camps or reservations. We were given these foreign ingredients: lard, flour, sugar, and fry bread became comfort food, but it's still oppressive to where it's holding us back. Spam is big with our food culture. It came from rations of government commodity, canned meats like beef, chicken, that you would still get to this day on the Navajo reservation. As a chef doing pre-colonial food, I had to look beyond that and see what we originally had. The wild game, the forage ingredients, the cultivating of corn, bean, and squash, seeing what was here originally before European contact.
And I think it's because it's true. It's like we are, you know, I think we don't even realize, I didn't realize how Afro-Latina I was until I went to culinary school, and I was like, things that make me feel like home. And when they were, you know, we had these assignments like cook something that makes you feel like you, cook something, you know, what you've learned now, but based off of like where you come from. And it was always these like really Latin things that like my grandmother used to make and that my mom then made, you know? So I feel like food is, it really is the universal language, even more than music.
When I traveled into the mountains of Colorado to meet Chef Carlos Baca, a champion of a cuisine that existed long before any Europeans landed on our shores, I didn't expect to be pulled outside for a sunrise blessing by his aunt and uncle. And I certainly didn't expect to break down in tears in front of the camera. Yes, it sounds cheesy even as I say it right now, but there was a magic in this place. And after that blessing, Carlos was ready to take me on a journey that showcased the early days of this continent through his ingredients and his cooking. I'm fairly new to understanding the word indigenous.
When I was reading to prepare for this interview, I was quite surprised to see you use the word Aborigines talking about African Americans.
You know, I've dealt with that issue. I've already, talked publicly about that.
And my purpose here today is to say that I'm very sorry, and I apologize to anyone whose feelings were hurt by my comment.
I've made very, very clear I don't know where that comment comes from.
Well, from your subconscious.
Well, I guess. I mean, it's not even a normal thing anyone would say.
I guess I'm gonna blame my history teacher, but Native American, and I was gonna ask you why.
Why indigenous?
Yes.
History is written by the conquerors, right? So as a people, there's a huge movement to write our history and stop it from being dictated to us. A part of that is to be Native American is you, right?
Right.
Anybody who was born here is native to America. Indigenous people were here before there was an America.
Classic dishes include fried chicken and okra, macaroni and cheese, and of course, collard greens.
Dig in. The roots of soul food with its rice, okra, and greens are in Africa, but it is quintessential African American cuisine that was largely developed in the deep South where many slaves lived on plantations.
Adrian Miller, author of Soul Food, The Surprising Story of an American Cuisine One Plate at a Time, says enslaved people yearned for the food they knew in Africa, but they had to make do with what they got. Foraging was commonplace.
So once a week, they got rations. That would be 5 pounds of some starch, could be cornmeal, rice, or sweet potatoes, a couple of pounds of either smoked, dried, pickled, or salted meat, usually pork, and then a jug of molasses. So the enslaved had to figure out how to survive by gardening, foraging, hunting, fishing, and doing all these other things to supplement their diet.
Miller says what emerged was a type of Southern cuisine created by and first consumed by African Americans. But with time, others adopted the food as well. It was renamed soul food in the 1960s.
I went into it thinking that soul food was wholly created for African Americans, but then I realized it's more about class and place than race. For the most part, people of the same socioeconomic class, regardless of race, were eating the same foods.
Wilson learned all about soul food when visiting her grandmother in South Carolina every summer. She says it was classic farm to table.
My grandmother used to have me go out in that garden. Melba, pick some collard greens. Melba, pick some this, pick some that. That's what we did. You know, we would get nuts, we would get apples, we would get grapes from the vine. And now it's called farm to table. Back then it was called, Melba girl, go out in that garden and get this and get that.
Soul food may have started in the South, but it quickly spread across the United States along with the so-called Great Migration, a period spanning the early 20th century to roughly 1970, when more than 6 million African Americans migrated from southern states to other parts of the country.
And has a powerful story because it speaks to the resiliency of enslaved Africans and later enslaved African Americans, their ingenuity of how they made this food delicious. And then it's a story of triumph because regardless of all that was thrown at African Americans, here we're still here and we're still thriving.
Still thriving, in part because of places like Melba's that are keeping the traditions alive.
Origins and primary regions of diversity of agricultural crops. Though me and the author of Soul Food share the same color of hue, we do not share the same views on history. And me knowing a few things about a few things, a man sitting in front of a bookcase, and to be the age he is and study what he studied, to come back to the conclusion that a person of my hue and of my lineage as a African American would lead me to make no other assertion than that he is a gatekeeper. Now, the question remains. We've seen some people talk. We've seen some people speak to you about cooking and what it means to them. The items that these people were particularly cooking, it's what's in question. The question has to remain and should remain, and it's the first question you should ask when it comes to food, is why don't the current people claiming to be the American Indian, aka the Native Americans, why don't they know how to cook the food that comes from where they always have been? But you're able to keep the language. You're a liar. That's my assertion. Is that there is no way you can keep the language and lose the ability to cook the food when you have never left the land. You just were displaced. That's called a refugee. West Africa doesn't produce anything, as you can clearly see on the map. West Africa actually produces the least amount of anything. I mean, it doesn't produce anything. Can you eat palm oil? I will do a complete series on West Africa agriculture. That's at another time. What we are focusing on is North America, South America, in the Caribbean islands. Corn, 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 corn rolls. They rock them in their hair. We rock them in our hair. Corn on the cob. Barbecues, cookouts. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not a fan of avocado, but I know tons of people who are. It's from here. Strawberries, come on. Strawberry shortcake. Blueberry muffins. Sunflower seeds. Come on. Are we serious? The sunflowers from America. Why they don't eat sunflower seeds? Who's playing double dutch and you're eating sunflower seeds? Come on. Wake up. Chocolate? Yeah, from here. Peanut butter and jelly, berries. Every kind of jam you want. Peas. Black eyed peas. Catfish. Fried. Fish fry. Hot sauce. Cayenne peppers. All the peppers. All the bell peppers. They're from Americas. Vanilla. Yeah, it gets put in everything. The vanilla bean? Come on. Chocolate? Coffee? I mean, the number one coffee is wouldn't be Colombian coffee. The greatness of the United States is founded on agriculture. We'll take a look at the map. My area that I want to particularly focus on is the Southeast, Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, just all the way up to Maine. And if you notice, the particular people that are in the fields are a particular color of hue. There is no place on the whole North American map do we see any workers or any quote unquote whatever you want to make these people. If you want to make them slaves, if you want to make them workers, if you want to make them employees, do whatever you want to do. But where are the Native Americans? Where are the people that are claiming to be indigenous? If you're not working with the food, how could you be the people? So let me get this straight. You don't know how to grow your own food that you've always known how to grow for thousands and thousands of years. You forgot how to do that. Not only did you forget how to farm, you forgot how to cook. Food is essential to life. 20 modern dishes that resemble or are born of historic Northeastern Native American dishes. Boston baked beans. I mean, the list is self-explanatory. It starts with Boston baked beans. You got your nut breads and berry cakes. Let's get familiar. Banana nut muffins. Turkey. We already know that turkey is from Americas. Dumplings. Chicken and dumplings. I mean, come on. Cream of corn. Cranberry sauce. Johnny cakes. I mean, hush puppies. I mean, okay, so we get the point. And this is what Northeastern Native American dishes. So let's go ahead and see what the Northeast looks like. Growing up in the 1620s. As you can see, this is dated November and December of 2015. This is from Scholastic News. In 1620, the Pilgrims came to America. They met the people who already lived here called the Wampanoag. What was it like to be a kid back then? So, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, maybe. Right here we have what appears to be the pilgrim would have to be the fair-skinned young fella with the hat, and the people that already lived here would have to be the little African American girl. Isn't that what they say an African American girl looks like? Oh, and this African American mom. And let me guess, because she has 2 kids right there, she's by herself in the picture, she'll be stereotyped for being a single mom. And because the one kid is lighter than the other kid, it will be said that she has 2 different baby daddies. Like, you gotta wake up. You gotta wake up. It's silly. If you don't know how to cook the food you never are seen on a farm, there's no pictures of you on the farm, there's no pictures of you on the plantation, there's no pictures of you, period, in the Southeast. So let me guess, these exceptional enslaved people from West Africa came over here and somehow managed to be the greatest cookers, turn into the greatest singers and athletes. But hold on, wait. Maybe I could buy it if the people that are in West Africa were doing the same. So listen, these are Connecticut Indians. If you notice, who is the Indian? Because I'm pretty sure that more than 50% of those people you're going to call African American. I'm pretty sure all but 2 will be called African American. And if all of those people are African American, then does that make the fair-skinned man and the fair-skinned woman the Indians? Let me go back for you. Growing up in the 1620s. In the 1620s, the Pilgrims came to America. They met the people who already lived here. This little girl would be classified as an African American. Every single person that is going to watch this, and if you see this, you know it in your heart, she will be classified as an African American. Why is she on the cover of the Scholastic News? Maybe because people being classified as African Americans and blacks are really the Indians. This is no mistake. This is no they affirmative action. This is no they just put a little black girl on the cover for a sympathy. Okay, no, this wasn't. Okay, this is the face of the Indian, whether you like it or not. Deal with it.